Be warned, this video will contain spoilers. 911 Season 8's mid-season premiere confirmed Eddie's move to Texas, and while it's a huge shift for his character, the way it plays out feels eerily familiar. Eddie's departure isn't just a major turning point for the show, it directly echoes another significant exit from the series, making it hard to ignore the parallels. Episode 8 left Eddie at a crossroads, but Episode 9 removed any doubts, officially sealing his decision to leave. What makes this departure stand out isn't just the fact that he's moving away but the impact it has on Buck. The bond between Eddie and Buck has been one of the show's most defining relationships, and now, with Eddie gone, Buck is left to navigate the absence of yet another person he's deeply connected to. While 911 doesn't frame it as the most emotionally devastating moment in the series, there's no denying that Buck's choice to stay in Eddie's house is a deeply significant gesture. It's not just about looking after the place while Eddie is gone. It's about maintaining a connection, even if only symbolically. Eddie leaving means major changes for everyone, but for Buck, it might feel like a situation he's already lived through. And that's because, in many ways, he has. The way this storyline unfolds is strikingly similar to what happened with Abby in the early seasons. Connie Britton's Abby was a pivotal part of Buck's early arc, and when she left in the Season 1 finale, Buck struggled to accept it. He held on to her, quite literally, by staying in her home, convincing himself that she might come back. That lingering hope, that unwillingness to move on, defined much of his Season 2 arc, and now, history is repeating itself, but with a twist. Back then, Buck was young, still learning, still forming his identity within the 911 team. He was filled with optimism, even in the face of loss, and his belief that Abby might return wasn't just wishful thinking. It was a reflection of his inability to process abandonment. With Eddie, things are different. Buck isn't that same naive, hopeful guy anymore. He's been through years of challenges, heartbreaks, and losses. He's learned, grown, and matured, but that doesn't mean the scars of his past have healed completely. The way he handles Eddie's departure could go in a completely different direction. Rather than convincing himself Eddie will come back, he might try to brace himself for the worst, telling himself Eddie is never returning so that he won't get hurt. But the problem with that? He's still living in Eddie's space, surrounded by memories, constantly reminded of what is lost. No matter how much he tries to convince himself that this is different from Abby's departure, the emotional weight remains the same. And that's what makes this ending so frustrating. Instead of allowing Buck to truly grow past his issues with loss and abandonment, the show has placed him right back where he started. It's like watching him go in circles, stuck in a loop of saying goodbye without truly knowing how to move forward. If 911 wants to make this storyline meaningful, it needs to push Buck into new territory rather than just rehashing old wounds. Because if it doesn't, then what's the point of all his development up until now? What do you think about the way the show handled Eddie's departure? Does it feel like a full-circle moment for Buck? Or do you think it undermines his growth? Let's discuss it in the comments.